everybody, I'm back again with a new video for this scarf. That's the border. And here we have all these shells, and then some front post and back post double crochets, and the border is made with double crochets and puff stitches. For this scarf I used alizeangoragold yarn in white, three balls of these, and a 3.5mm hook. I used this diagram, which is widely available, and I have uploaded it to the community tab of my channel. So if we follow the diagram, it says here we need to start off with a chain 4. So let's make our slip knot. And we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we slip stitch to the first chain to make a ring. So that's our ring here. Then the pattern says for the first row we are going to chain 4. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we need to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets into the ring. Then we chain 1 here at the top, at the center spine of the scarf, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets again, and then at the very last we put in a treble crochet. So let's go ahead and put 5 double crochets into the ring. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then for the center spine of the scarf we chain 1, and then we put 5 more double crochets into the ring. That's 5, and then at the very last we put in a treble crochet, so yarn over twice, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. So that's the first row. Let's start off row 2. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the changes that I made to this pattern, there's just 2 changes that I did here. For the second row of double crochets, this one here, which we're going to do now, instead of putting double crochets into the double crochets of the previous row, I am doing front post double crochets. And then when we've reached here, row number 5, so the second row of double crochets again here, instead of normal double crochets, I will be putting back post double crochets. And that's pretty much it. So here for this row, for the second row, chain 4, then we'll put 2 double crochets into the first double crochet, and then we're going to put 5 front post double crochets around each of the next 5 stitches until we have reached the chain 1 space here, the center chain 1 space. Into that chain 1 space we will put 2 double crochets, a chain 1 and 2 double crochets, and then again 5 front post double crochets, and then in the last stitch we will put 2 double crochets and 1 treble crochet on top of the starting chain 4 of the previous row. So we have done our chain 4. Turn the work around. Now here into the first stitch we are going to put 2 double crochets. One, 2. And now in the next 5 double crochets we're going to put front post double crochets. So here is the second one. That's 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Now we have reached the chain 1 space, into which we will put 2 double crochets, chain 1, and again into the same space 2 double crochets, and then in the next 5 we will put front post double crochets. And then here we have the starting chain 4 of the previous row. So on top of in the 4th chain we're going to put 2 double crochets and 1 treble crochet. So it's this one here. So here you see this would be the stitch. This is the double crochet into which we've just put our front post double crochet, so we don't want to go in there. We want to go into the chain right next to it. That's the top chain, and we are putting 2 double crochets and a treble crochet all into that chain. That is row 2. Then for row 3, which is in black here, we will chain 4, and then we put a double crochet into the first stitch. Then we will chain 1, and then we put a double crochet into the next stitch. So here we're not skipping anything yet. But then we chain 1 and we start skipping 1 stitch every time. Skip 1 stitch, a double crochet into the next stitch. Then we chain 1, we skip 1 stitch, double crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. And that was the last one before our center chain space. So again, we chain 1, and then into the center chain space we're going to put 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet, and then we repeat it on the other side, and we end with 1 double crochet and 1 treble crochet on top of the starting chain 4 of the previous row. So here's our work. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn the work, and we're going to put 1 double crochet into the first stitch right there. Then we chain 1, and into the next stitch we will put a double crochet. Then we chain 1, and now we need to skip a stitch, and we go into the next double crochet with a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, into the next one with a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, into the next one, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, into the next one, double crochet. Now we have reached the center chain 1 space. So here we will chain 1, and then we will put a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the center chain 1 space. And then we chain 1, and into the next double crochet we will put a double crochet. And now we need to start skipping again. So chain 1, skip the next double crochet, double crochet into the next double crochet, chain 1, skip that one, go into the next one, chain 1, skip that one, go into the next one, chain 1, skip that one, go into the next one, which is the last one, chain 1, and then on top of the chain 4, starting chain 4, we're going to put a double crochet and a treble crochet in the same chain 4 space. Sorry, in the same chain 4. So there we go. That's row 3. row 4 here in green. We will start with the chain 4 and 2 double crochets in the first stitch, and then we're going to put double crochets into each double crochet and chain 1 space until we've reached the last double crochet. Then in the center chain 1 space we are going to put 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and then we repeat on the other side, and we end with 2 double crochets and treble crochet on top of the starting chain 4. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn the work around, 2 double crochets in the first stitch, 1, 2, and then we are going in each stitch and each chain 1 space with a double crochet. So into the next double crochet we will put a double crochet, and then we have reached our first chain 1 space here. We will go in there with a double crochet, and then into the next double crochet, into the chain 1 space, into the double crochet, into the chain 1 space, into the double crochet, into the chain 1 space, on top of the double crochet, into the chain 1 space, top of the double crochet, into the chain 1 space, and here in the last double crochet. So now we have reached the center chain 1 space here, and in here we will put 2 double crochets, a chain 1 and another 2 double crochets. Like that. Now into the next double crochet, a double crochet, and then into the chain 1 space, a double crochet, into the double crochet, into the chain 1 space, into the double crochet, into the chain 1 space, into the double crochet, into the chain 1 space, into the double crochet, into the chain 1 space, double crochet, chain 1 space, and then here the last double crochet, and then on top of the starting chain 4 we're putting 2 double crochets and 1 treble crochet, like that. So that was row 4. For row 5 we are going to use our back post double crochets. So chain 4, 2 double crochets into the first stitch, and then we're going to put 1 back post double crochet in each double crochet until we reach the chain 1 space in the center, and into that chain 1 space we're putting 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, then again a back post double crochet into each of the next double crochet until we reach the very last starting chain 4. On top of that we are putting 2 double crochets and 1 treble. So chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn the work around, 2 double crochets into the first stitch, and then we're going to put back post double crochets into each until we reach the center, chain 1 space. So like that. So this is the last double crochet. We have reached the center, chain 1 space. Here we will put 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and then here on the other side of the scarf, we will again put a back post double crochet into each double crochet until we reach the last starting chain 4. So here's the last double crochet. Here's the starting chain 4. So into the top chain we are going to put 2 double crochets and a treble. That's row 5. So now we're going to start with the shells. Here's row 6 in red. We start off with a chain 5, and then we will skip the first 2 double crochets. Into the third one we will make a small shell, is what I call it. So that's a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, all in 1 stitch. Then we will skip 1, 2, 3 stitches, and into the 4th stitch we're going to make a large shell, which is 2 double crochets, a chain 1, 2 double crochets. Then once again we skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and here we're making a small shell. So we're going to alternate between large and small shells, and we keep doing that until we reach our last small shell, and then we should be left with 1, 2, 3 stitches before our center chain 1 space. And into that center chain 1 space we're going to make 2 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and then we need to skip 1, 2, 3 stitches, and we're going to alternate between our large and small shells again. Okay, so to start off, chain 5, skip the first 2 small shells. Let's do that. chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, turn the work around, skip the first 2, small shell. So we're skipping that one and that one. We're going in here with a small shell, which is a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Then we skip 1, 2, 3 stitches, skip 3, and then a large shell. So skipping 3 here, 1, 2, 3 into this one, large shell, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and then skip 3, 1, 2, 3 in here, small shell, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, skip 3, 1, 2, 3 here, large shell, 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 double, skip 3, 1, 2, 3 into the next one, small shell, so 1 double, chain 2, another double. Now let's see, according to the pattern we need to finish with a small shell before we reach the center chain 1 space, and we should be left with 3 double crochets. So we've finished with a small shell. Here is our center chain 1 space, and we are left with 1, 2, 3 double crochets. So we did it right. Into the center we need to make 2 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. So let's do that. 2 double crochets, chain 1. Here we need 3 double crochets, that's 3, chain 1, and then 2 double crochets again. That's that. And then we do the same on this side as what we did here. So we're going to skip 3 double crochets, and we're going to start with our small shell. So skip 1, 2, 3, go in here with a small shell, 1 double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet, skip 3, 1, 2, 3 here, large shell, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, skip 3, 1, 2, 3 here, small shell, skip 3, 1, 2, 3 here, large shell, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, skip 3, 1, 2, 3 here, small shell. So here we have finished with a small shell, and we have 1 double crochet and our starting chain 4 left. Let's have a look. Finished with a small shell, double crochet and chain 4 left. So now we need to chain 1, skip that double crochet and put a treble crochet on top of the chain 4. So chain 1, skip that double crochet, put a treble crochet, so yarn over twice, on top of the chain 4. There, that's row 6 done. So that's the back of the work. This is the front. Row 7, which will be in blue. Here we are going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chain 5 into the first stitch, double crochet. Then we're going into the center of the small shell of the previous row, and we will put a large shell. Then into the center of the large shell of the previous row, and we will make a small shell. Into the center of the small shell we make a large shell, into the center of the large shell we make a small shell. So we keep alternating that way. So let's start off here with our chain 5 and a double crochet into the first stitch. So chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, turn to work, and we are going to make a double crochet into the first stitch. That's that. And here we can see our shells. This is a small shell into which we will make a large shell. 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and then here's a large shell, and into that one we will make a small shell. That's a double crochet, 2 chains, and another double crochet. Now here is a small shell. We will put a large shell. 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and here on top of the large shell we will make a small shell. 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet, and here we have reached our last small shell, into which we will make a large shell. 2 double, chain 1, 2 double. So now we have reached this center bunch of row 6. So let's see, row 6. Here, sorry, we're not on row 6. Apologies, we're on row 7. We've done all of this. Now we've come to the center bunch here. So we've just done our we just did our large shell, and now into the first chain space of this bunch we're going to make a small shell. Then in the middle of these 3 double crochets, in the middle one, we're going to make a treble crochet. but we need to chain 1 spaces here on either side of it. Okay, so what we're going to do first, chain 1 space, small shell, chain 1, treble, in the middle double of the 3, chain 1, and then small shell into the last chain 1 space. Okay, so let's do that. Here is our bunch. Here's a chain 1 space. These are the 3 center double crochets, and here is another chain 1 space. So into the first chain 1 space we make a small shell. So 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet. Then into the center of the 3 double crochets, chain 1 first, then into the center of the 3 double crochets, the middle one here, we make a treble. Then we chain 1, and then into this chain 1 space we're going to make a small shell. And then we continue on. Here on top of the small shell we make a large shell. On top of the large shell we make a small shell. On top of the small shell we make a large shell. On top of the small shell, large shell, we make a small shell. And on top of the small shell we make another large shell. Like that. So now row 7 all the way here, we've just done this last large shell here. So now we are left with our chain 5 of the previous row. On top of the chain 4 we are going to make another small shell. That's how we finish this row. Okay, so on top of the chain 4 we have a chain 5 though. This here is a chain 5. So we need to skip 1 chain. Skip this chain. We need to go into this one here with a small shell. 1 single double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet. And that's how we end that row. Okay. So now we will have row 8. Yes, row 8. We will do a chain 5. And then we'll do our alternating of shells again until we reach the middle here, the chain 1 treble chain 1. So let's do that. Chain 5, one, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's see. chain 5, and then straight into the small shell that we just finished our last row with, we're going to make a large shell. So this is the small shell that we finished with. In here, we're going to make our first large shell. 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. And then here in the large shell, we're going to make a small shell. Large shell into the small shell. Small shell into the large shell. And we continue on like that until we reach this center, chain 1, treble, chain 1. So we're going to finish here with a large shell. So that's all the shell work done on this side. And then here, what are we going to do? Let's see. So now on top of the center treble crochet, we're going to put a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. And then we just continue on again with our shell work. So on top of the center treble, right here, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet again, chain 2, double crochet again. And then we start the shell work again. Here we put a large shell. And here a small shell. So now we have reached, we've done the last small shell here before the end of the row. Now we are going to put here, so we are left with this double crochet and a chain 5. See, that's our shell, and then we have a double crochet here, and this here, that's the chain 5. So that's what we're left with. Into this double crochet chain 5, we're going to put a large shell, because this double crochet chain 5 counts as a small shell. So just straight in here, we're going to make a large shell, just here. And then we are going to chain 1, and on top of the chain 3 we're putting a treble crochet. So let's see, chain 1, and then we go on top of the chain 3, 1, 2, 3, that one there with a treble. And that's the end of the row. Then the next row, row number 9, we are going to chain 3, and then in the first stitch, so the chain 3 counts as a double crochet, the first double crochet of the large shell. So chain 3 into the first stitch, double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochets. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn the work around. So we're making a large shell into the first stitch, and this chain 3 counts as the first double crochet of this large shell. So we're going into the same stitch, the first stitch, with another double crochet. So that's our second then. Then we chain 1, and then again into the same stitch, 2 more double crochets. So that's our large shell. And then we do our shell work again until we reach the last large shell here. So here we have reached the last large shell. Now we've put in a small shell. So that's the center here. So here we're on row 9. Last small shell into the large shell. Here's the center. So we have 2 chain 2 spaces in the center, separated by double crochets. Into the first chain 2 space we make a large shell. Then we chain 1, we put a treble crochet on top of the treble crochet. Chain 1, large shell, and then we continue on with our shell work. So finished here with a small shell, into the first chain 2 space, a large shell. Chain 1, treble on top of the treble. Chain 1 and a large shell into the next chain 2 space. Like that. And here we'll do our shell work again. Ended with a large shell, now we're doing a small shell. So here I've done my large shell into the small shell, and here is a large shell, so I'm going to put in a small shell here. Okay, now to end this row, here we are. Just put in the small shell into this large shell. I'm left with a chain 5 here, and on top of the chain 4 I want to make a large shell. Okay, so this is my chain 5. need to skip one chain, go into this one for a large shell. 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and that's the end of the row. Then here for row 11 we chain 5, and then straight into the large shell we've just made we make a small shell, and we do our shell work, and then we do our middle work. So let's start with this. Chain 5, small shell into the large shell. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Turn the work. Large shell. We're going to put in a small shell here. Just like that. And then we do our shell work. Large shell into the small shell. So shell work done. I've just done the large shell here into the small shell. Here, large shell into the small shell, that's what we've done. And now we're going to put a small shell into the large shell that we made into the center here. Then on top of the treble that we did here, we are going to make 2 double, chain 1, 3 double, chain 1, 2 double. Okay, so this is the large shell into which we're putting a small shell. And here into the center treble, we're going to make 2 double, chain 1, 3 double, chain 1, 2 more double. Like this. And then we do our shell work again. Small shell here into the large shell. So we've reached the last shell here. And then here into the last shell, we're going to need to put a small shell and then a chain 1 treble on top of the chain 3. Small shell, chain 1 treble on top of the chain 3. Small shell, chain 1 treble on top of the chain 3. So we need 7 of the shell rows before we go back to the double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 we have now. For the 6th of the shell rows, which is row 11 here, we're going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a double crochet into the first stitch. That will make a small shell. Chain 5, double crochet in first stitch, small shell, and then we do our shell work again. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, turn the work around, double crochet into the first stitch. That made a small shell. And then we do our shell work. Large shell, oh, that's the shell work done. Just done my last large shell into the small shell. Let's have a look. Last large shell into the small shell. Now we are going to make a small shell into the first chain 1 space. Chain 1, treble into the middle of the 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then a small shell into the next chain 1 space. Small shell into the first chain 1 space, chain 1, treble in the middle double of the 3, chain 1, small shell into the next chain 1 space, and then we start our shell work again. Large shell, small shell, large shell, till the end of the row. So we've reached the end here. We've just done our large shell into our last small shell. We're left here with our chain 5. So left here with the chain 5, we've done the large shell. Yeah, so on top of the chain 4 we're going to put a small shell, and that will end the row. So we're going to skip this chain into this chain, because that's the top of the chain 4, a small shell, and that finishes the row. Okay, then for the last row of the shells, we are going, it's row 12 that we're on now, we're going to chain 5 and do our shell work. So chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, turn the work, and we do our shell work. So this is the very first small shell. In there we are going to do a large shell. Like that. And then we just continue on, small shell, large shell, small, large, until we reach the center. The center, chain 1, treble, chain 1. So we're going to finish here in this shell with a large shell. So here we've done our shell work, we've done our last large shell before our center treble. Into the center treble we are going to do a double, chain 2, double, chain 2, double. Into the center treble, double, chain 2, double, chain 2, double. And then we continue on with our shell work again. Large, small, all the way to the last large shell, into which we'll put a small shell. So we've put our last small shell into the last large shell. Let's see, and then here, this double crochet chain 5 is a small shell, so into that we need to put a large shell, and then we need to chain 1 and end with a treble crochet on top of the chain 3. So this is a small shell into which we will just straight away go in with a large shell. And then we chain 1 and we put a treble on top of the chain 3. 1, 2, this is the third chain, like that. So that's what we have so far. I know it looks very wonky here on the edge. Just ignore it, it'll work out. So we have 7 rows of shells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then after 7 rows of shells, you start again with these ridges. So for the next row, we're on row 13. We start with a chain 4 and 2 double crochets into the first stitch. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn our work, 2 double crochets into the first stitch, 1, 2, and then we will put a double crochet into the chain 1 space. Here. And then we're going into the first large shell, and into the large shell we always put 5 double crochets, 1 in each of the double crochets and 1 in the center chain 1 space. So we're going to do 5 double crochets here, and then we're going into the small shell, and in each small shell we just put 3 double crochets into the center chain 2 space. We don't go into the actual double crochets of the small shells. So 5 double crochets in each large shell, 3 double crochets in each small shell, and we go and do that all the way to the center. So here is our first large shell, and we're going into each double crochet and into the chain 1 space. So here's the first one, into the next 2, into the center chain 1 space, 3, into the next double crochet, 4, and into the last double crochet, 5. Now we have reached a small shell. We don't go into the double crochets of the small shell. We just go straight into the chain 2 space for 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Small shell done. We move on to the large shell again with 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Small shell, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Large shell, 5. We'll do this all the way to the end. So here we've reached the end. We've just done our 5 double crochets into the large shell. So here we have 2 chain 2 spaces in our center. So we're treating them here, these 2, as a small shell. So we'll put 3 into the first chain 2 space. And we will put 3 into the other chain 2 space. So, and then in the top double crochet, we are putting 2 double, chain 1, 2 double. So 3 into the first chain 2 space, 1, 2, 3, then 2 double, chain 1, 2 double, into the center double crochet, and then here chain 2 space, 3 double crochets. And then we continue on again the same manner on this side till we reach the end. So here we've just finished the last large shell, into which we've put 5 double crochets. Then we put a double crochet into the chain 1 space, and then we finish with 2 double crochets, treble crochet on top of the chain 4 space, or on top of the starting chain 4. So I put a double crochet into the chain space, then the starting chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, this one here, 2 double crochets, and a treble. And that's the end of the pattern. So now we just continue on with row number 2, and it just repeats after that. So row number 2, we'll create this ridge here. We're going to do front post double crochets. Row number 2 starts with a chain 4, 2 double crochets into the first stitch. Then we do our front post double crochets. So chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn the work around, 2 double crochets into the first stitch, and now we're going to do front post double crochets around each of the next double crochets. So we do that all the way to the center. So here we've reached the center chain space. So back the front post double crochets all the way until the very last one. And then in the center chain 1 space, we are putting 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. So let's go ahead and do that. 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. And then front post double crochets again around each until the very last one. Okay, so I've reached the very last one. Now on top of the chain 4, we're going to put 2 double crochets and 1 treble. Two double, 1 treble. So that was a repeat of row 2. And then we repeat row 3, this is where we're going to make the gaps. Row 3 goes chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn the work around, a double crochet in the first, and then we start our chain 1 space. So chain 1, just don't skip yet, go into the next double crochet with a double crochet, and now we chain 1 and we're going to skip 1 into the next one, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 into the next one, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 into the next one, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 into the next one, double crochet, and we continue like that until we've reached the center. So here I've almost reached the center. I have 2 double crochets left. Going to chain 1, skip 1, put my last double crochet into the last double crochet before the center. Now for the center we are going to chain 1 and then we are putting in a double crochet, chain 1 and a double crochet. That's the center. And then we chain 1 and we continue as usual. So we're going into the next double crochet here, and then chain 1, skip 1 into the next, chain 1, skip 1 into the next, and so on until we reach the end of the row. So we've reached the end here. I've just put a double crochet into the very last double crochet. So we're going to chain 1 and we're going to put a double crochet and a treble crochet on top of the chain 4. Double crochet and treble. That's the end of that row. So now we are going to do a repeat of row 4. Starts off with a chain 4, 2 double crochets into the first stitch, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 double crochets into the first stitch, and then we are going to put a double crochet into each double crochet and a double crochet into each chain 1 space. So we put a double crochet into the next double crochet, then a double crochet into the chain 1 space, double crochet into the next double crochet, double crochet into the chain 1 space, double crochet into the next double crochet, double crochet into the chain 1 space, and we continue on like that until we reach the center of the scarf. So here I've reached the center V stitch that we made. So we're going to put a double crochet into the double crochet, and then here in the center chain 1 space we are putting 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and then we continue on, double crochet into the double crochet, double crochet into the chain 1 space, double crochet into the double crochet, double crochet into the chain 1 space. Now we continue on like that until we reach the end of the row. So here I've just put my last double crochet into my last double crochet, and then here I have my chain 4. So on top of the chain 4 we are going to put 2 double crochets and a treble crochet. And then we're going to repeat row 5 with back post double crochets. We chain 4, turn the work around, 2 double crochets into the first stitch, and now into each double crochet we're going to put a back post double crochet. Just like that, until we reach the center of the scarf. And now we have the center chain 1 space. As this is a repeat of as this is a repeat of row 5, we are going to put into the center chain 1 space. We are going to put 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. So here we put 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. And then we continue again with our back post double crochets around each double crochet. Until the end of the row. So here I've just put the last back post double crochet around the last double crochet. So I have my chain 4 here, and repeat of row 5. On top of the chain 4 we need 2 double crochets and a treble. So let's go ahead and do that. 2 double crochets and a treble. Like that. So that is the end of the next set of the ridge pattern. So we've got 1 and 2 with 7 shell rows in between. So here you continue with another 7 shell rows, and then for my finished scarf I made in total 7 of these ridge sections. Sorry, not 7, excuse me, 5. Don't know where that came from. 5 of these ridge sections, including this little first one here. Then when you've done your 5th one, after this we add on the edging here. This is the pattern for the edging, and this is what the edging looks like. So the edging, I'm going to show you the edging in a separate video. Soon I will upload a next video that will be dedicated just to the edging of this scarf. It's a very beautiful scarf. It's very romantic, very pretty and lacy. Thank you everybody for watching. and I'll see you in the edging video.